The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was a place of immense power, where alien species from across the universe gathered to discuss the fate of planets and civilizations. The room was vast, with walls made of shimmering, translucent material that glowed in a soft, ethereal light. At the center of the chamber sat the Council's most influential leaders, each representing a race more advanced than the next. Among them was Archon Zarath, the leader of one of the most powerful alien factions. His sharp, angular face was framed by the cold, calculating eyes of someone who had conquered galaxies. The air was thick with arrogance as the council convened to discuss the pet planet of Earth. Zarath's voice rang out, laced with mockery and disdain. "Why would we fear these weak creatures?" He chuckled, his laughter echoing in the chamber. "Humans have no place in the grand design of the universe. They are nothing but primitive, misguided beings. Their technology is outdated, their civilization young. They are simply pets, servants to be tamed." The room erupted in laughter as the leaders of various alien species joined in. Some exchanged amused glances, while others snickered at the thought of humans even being a threat. To these powerful beings, humans were laughable. They had seen civilizations rise and fall, witnessed the death of countless species, and yet, somehow, humanity had managed to cling to life on their tiny, insignificant planet. Zarath's words cut through the laughter like a blade. "They're no different from the pets we keep in our homes, weak, helpless, and utterly dependent." The alien leaders nodded in agreement, each convinced that humanity's future would be one of subjugation. There was no question in their minds that Earth was just another pawn in the game of galactic politics. But amid the laughter, there was a silence that lingered, one that grew heavier with every passing second. In the shadows of the council chamber, a lone figure stood, observing the proceedings with an intensity that seemed to burn through the walls themselves. Captain Elias Kane, leader of the human resistance, had infiltrated the council meeting. No one knew he was there, but his presence was undeniable. His steely eyes flicked over the alien leaders, absorbing every word they spoke. He was a man on a mission, a man with a purpose that went far beyond the ridicule he was witnessing. Kane remained still, his expression unreadable, but inside, his heart raced with fury. For years, humanity had been treated as nothing more than a nuisance, a species beneath notice. The time for patience was over. Kane had seen firsthand the devastation the aliens had brought to Earth, alien invasions, the abduction of humans, and the cruel treatment of his people. But what these aliens didn't understand was that the humans were not the weak, helpless creatures they believed them to be. No, humans had a strength that no alien force could ever truly comprehend. Kane's mind raced as he watched the smug expressions of the alien leaders. He could hear their laughter, their dismissal of humanity as nothing more than pets. But there was something they didn't know, something that would change everything. Behind the veil of weakness that humanity had allowed them to see, a storm was brewing, and soon the aliens would learn just how wrong they were. The tension in the room was palpable. The mocking words of the aliens hung in the air like a thick fog, and yet Kane's resolve remained unshaken. He knew what he had to do. The time for words had passed. The time for action had arrived. As the council continued to jeer at the humans, Kane's mind was already working, planning the next steps in humanity's fight for survival. In the dark corners of Earth, hidden from the eyes of the alien invaders, a different kind of war was being waged. Human scientists, engineers, and military leaders had been secretly preparing for this very moment. The mockery they faced from the alien council had only fueled their determination to prove the galaxy wrong. Humanity had been underestimating itself for far too long. It was time to show the aliens the true power of Earth's might. In underground bunkers, deep beneath the surface, humanity's most advanced technologies were being developed. Cloaking devices were being perfected, allowing ships to disappear from the sight of even the most advanced alien sensors. Artificial intelligence systems, capable of thinking and adapting on their own, were being created to fight alongside human soldiers, and the warships being built were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Sleek, powerful, and deadly, they were the embodiment of humanity's resilience and ingenuity. Brief flashes of images crossed Kane's mind. Warships cloaked in the blackness of space, AI-controlled drones storming alien strongholds, humans fighting side by side with their machines, taking the fight directly to their enemies. These were not the images of a defeated species. They were the images of a species on the cusp of revolution, ready to take its place among the stars. But even as he thought about the plans unfolding on Earth, Kane knew that the journey ahead would not be easy. The aliens were powerful, their fleets vast, and technologically superior. Yet there was one thing they lacked, something humanity had in abundance: heart. The human spirit could not be broken, and it would carry them to victory, no matter the odds. Kane's eyes narrowed as he stared at the alien council. The smug expressions on their faces seemed to mock him, but he knew better than to let that anger cloud his judgment. The time for rage would come, but not yet. He needed to be patient. Every move had to be calculated. The aliens had made their mistake. They had laughed at the wrong species, underestimated the wrong people, and when the time came, they would pay for it. With one final glance at the council, Kane turned and disappeared into the shadows. He knew that the next time the aliens saw humanity, it would be a very different experience. They would no longer be able to laugh. They would no longer see humans as weak. The battle was coming, and humanity would rise to meet it with everything they had. Back on Earth, the final stages of preparation were underway. The human resistance, led by Kane, was ready. The warships were cloaked and ready to strike. The AI systems were in place. Humanity had a plan, and it was a plan that would shake the galaxy to its core. The aliens had no idea what was coming, and when they did, it would be too late. The time for mockery was over. The time for war had begun, and humanity was not going to go down without a fight. In the depths of space, in the silence of the galaxy, the seeds of humanity's revolution were planted. The aliens may have laughed at humanity's pet status, but soon they would learn that this pet was far from helpless. It was a predator. And in this fight for survival, the only question that remained was, who would be the prey back on Earth, deep within the heart of a hidden military base? The war was already underway. The lights buzzed overhead in the concrete corridors as Captain Elias Kane walked briskly towards the briefing room, his face set in a hard line. Every step he took seemed to echo the urgency in his heart. The stakes had never been higher. Humanity was on the brink of a war with the most powerful alien forces the galaxy had ever known. And the clock was ticking. Kane's mind was consumed with thoughts of vengeance, of everything the aliens had taken from Earth. Inside the war room, his team was already gathered. The room was filled with the low hum of machines and the quiet murmur of soldiers prepping for battle. Elite soldiers stood at attention, their bodies a mix of raw muscle and advanced cybernetic enhancements. Engineers and AI experts sat at computers, monitoring the progress of humanity's most ambitious project, the construction of cloaking technology, robotic soldiers, and the development of warships unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. Kane stepped up to the front of the room, where a massive holographic display projected images of the top-secret operation underway. He could see the outlines of the warships they were building, sleek and powerful, their designs far more advanced than anything the aliens had expected from Earth. The soldiers around him were working tirelessly, knowing that every second counted. Kane's gaze swept over his team, his eyes settling on the faces of the engineers. He knew what was at stake. This wasn't just about fighting back. It was about survival. The aliens had mocked humanity for far too long. Now it was time to prove them wrong. But there was something deeper driving Kane, something more personal. He clenched his fists as memories of his sister, Sarah, flooded his mind. She had been taken by the aliens years ago, dragged away as a pet to be kept and exploited. Kane remembered the look in her eyes when she was taken, a mix of fear and confusion. That image had haunted him ever since. It had fueled his determination to lead humanity's resistance against the alien forces. His voice was low but filled with the weight of his emotions as he addressed his team. "They laugh now," he said, his tone cold with fury. "But they will cry when they see us fight back. They think we're weak. They think we're their pets. But we're not. We're going to show them what it really means to mess with humanity." The room fell silent for a moment. Every person in the room felt the intensity of Kane's words. He wasn't just speaking as a leader. He was speaking as a man who had lost everything. His team knew what this war meant to him. It was personal, and they shared his thirst for vengeance. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting to take back what the aliens had stolen. With a deep breath, Kane turned toward the holographic display. "Let's go over the plan," he said, and the lights dimmed as the images on the screen shifted to reveal the key components of their operation. The cloaking technology, which had been in development for months, was nearly complete. The human warships, which had once been mocked as primitive, now featured cloaking devices that allowed them to disappear from the alien radar. The warships were being outfitted with the latest in human weaponry: energy cannons that could fire with pinpoint accuracy, shields that could withstand even the most powerful alien attacks, and drones capable of fighting alongside human soldiers. Kane turned to the soldiers standing at attention. They were the best of the best, hand-picked for this mission. Each one had been trained in a variety of combat styles, from hand-to-hand combat to advanced tactics using the new robotic suits they had developed. These suits were powered by cutting-edge technology, enhancing the soldiers' strength and agility while providing them with enhanced protection. The soldiers were ready for anything. As the team continued to review their progress, Kane couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. They had come so far, but there was still so much left to do. The countdown to the final assault was already ticking. Soon, they would be ready to launch their counterattack, and the aliens would be caught off guard. Humanity was no longer the weak, helpless species they had once been. They had evolved, and they were going to make sure the aliens knew it. But there was one thing that weighed heavily on Kane's mind. Despite the technological advancements they had made, they were still outmatched. The aliens had fleets of warships, armies of robotic soldiers, and technologies far beyond anything humanity had ever dreamed of. The human team knew they were walking into a fight they might not survive. But Kane knew something the aliens didn't: human determination. "We might be outmatched," Kane said, his voice steady as he addressed his team. "But there's one thing the aliens don't have. They don't have us. They don't have human willpower, human ingenuity, and human heart. We fight for more than just survival. We fight because we have something worth fighting for: our freedom, our families, our planet. And we will not let them take that from us." The room erupted into a roar of approval. Kane's words ignited something deep within his team. They weren't just soldiers. They were warriors, driven by the need to protect everything they held dear. They knew the stakes, and they were ready to face whatever came their way. The next few days were a blur of activity. The team worked around the clock to finalize the warships, fine-tuning the cloaking devices and testing the weaponry. The soldiers trained harder than ever before, pushing themselves to the limit in their robotic suits. Every test, every training session, was a step closer to the moment they had all been waiting for, the moment when humanity would strike back. The first full-scale test of the cloaking warships was a sight to behold. As the ship vanished from sight, the engineers couldn't help but smile. It was perfect. The aliens had no idea what was coming. These warships would be their worst nightmare, able to slip into enemy territory unnoticed, strike with deadly precision, and then disappear before the aliens even had a chance to react. But even with all their preparations, the team knew they couldn't rest. They had no illusions about how difficult this battle would be. The aliens were powerful, their technology far more advanced than anything humanity had ever known. But they also knew one thing that the aliens would never understand. Humans could adapt, learn, and overcome obstacles like no other species in the galaxy. With each passing hour, the countdown to the final assault grew shorter. Kane and his team could feel the weight of the coming battle pressing down on them. There was no turning back now. The Alien Council had made a mistake, and humanity was going to make them pay for it. Kane stood at the front of the command center, his eyes fixed on the holographic map of the galaxy. He knew the alien fleets were out there, waiting. But so were the humans. The moment was fast approaching, and when it came, humanity would be ready. They were no longer the pets the aliens had laughed at, no longer the helpless creatures they had once believed them to be. They were hunters now, and the time for their revenge was coming. As the final preparations were made, Kane's voice echoed through the room. This is our time. This is humanity's moment. We fight, we win, and we take back what's ours. For Earth, for our people, for the future. The countdown had begun, and humanity was ready to strike. The war would be long, the risks high, but they had something the aliens couldn't understand: a drive to survive, to fight, and to win. And when it was over, the aliens would no longer be laughing. The alien fleet approached the human colony with an air of arrogance, their advanced ships cutting through space at a speed that seemed almost impossible. Their leaders, nestled in the comfort of their command ships, had no doubt in their minds that this would be another easy conquest. The colony they were targeting was small, unimportant by their standards, a mere speck in the vastness of the galaxy. To them, it was a chance to showcase their dominance, to remind humanity of their place in the cosmos. They had underestimated the humans for the last time, and they were about to learn a hard lesson. The alien ships, sleek, powerful, and far more advanced than anything humanity had ever seen, moved through space like a blade cutting through the air. Their weapons, capable of obliterating entire planets, were ready. The invasion was underway. However, what the aliens didn't know was that they had just walked into a trap. As they neared the human colony, the hum of the alien ships echoed in the emptiness of space. But then something unexpected happened. A ripple in the fabric of space, a brief flash of light, and suddenly the human warships appeared, as if from thin air. At first, the aliens couldn't believe what they were seeing. The humans were supposed to be primitive. Their ships, their technology, nothing compared to the might of the alien armada. But there, in front of them, were the human ships, cloaked until the very last moment, now revealed in all their glory. The silence of space was shattered by the sudden roar of plasma cannons, as the human warships fired with devastating precision, catching the alien fleet completely off guard. The first few blasts sent shockwaves through the alien ships. Their shields, though powerful, weren't designed to withstand an assault like this. The humans had come prepared. The plasma blasts tore through the hulls of the alien ships, sending them into disarray. In the cold vacuum of space, explosions erupted, lighting up the dark expanse like fireworks. The alien fleet tried to retaliate, but it was too late. As the human ships decloaked, the humans unleashed their most deadly weapon: advanced drones and robotic soldiers. These machines, designed with the latest in human technology, stormed the battlefield with ruthless efficiency. The drones zipped through space, weaving in and out of the enemy formations, launching laser beams and missiles with pinpoint accuracy. The robotic soldiers, powered by the most advanced artificial intelligence humanity had ever created, fought with the precision of a well-coordinated army. They tore through the alien forces like a storm, cutting down their enemies with blinding speed. The aliens, who had once laughed at humanity's perceived weakness, were now facing the full wrath of Earth's secret technological advancements. Explosions rang out, creating ripples of light across the battlefield. Space seemed to pulse with each blast, each new victory for the humans. Orbital bombardments, human-designed weapons that could deliver devastating firepower from orbit, rained down on the alien fleet, ripping through their ships and sending them spiraling into the void. It was chaos. The human forces were relentless, attacking with all the fury and precision they could muster. But amid the chaos, there was a deeper story. One of Kane's closest soldiers, Bonner, found himself face to face with an alien assault team. He was part of the human vanguard, leading a small group of soldiers into the heart of the battle. The aliens had overwhelmed a section of the human forces, and Bonner's team was tasked with holding the line. As the battle raged on, Bonner's bravery became the stuff of legends. Bonner fought fiercely, his cybernetic enhancements giving him the strength and agility to match the alien invaders blow for blow. His squad had managed to take out a few aliens, but the enemy kept coming, wave after wave. The battle was turning against them, but Bonner held firm. His weapon discharged with deadly force, cutting down alien after alien as he protected his team from the onslaught. He refused to retreat, even as the enemy pushed closer, even as the odds grew impossible. With each alien he fell, his resolve only strengthened. He knew that he was fighting not just for his life, but for the survival of humanity. But in the end, the sheer number of alien attackers was too much. A blast from a plasma rifle tore through Bonner's armor, sending him crashing to the ground. His soldiers tried to reach him, but they were too late. Bonner's last words, uttered through gritted teeth, were filled with the pain of the man who had given everything for the cause. Keep fighting. For Earth. Bonner died a hero's death, holding off the enemy for just long enough to allow his team to escape. His sacrifice would not be forgotten. His death became a rallying cry for the rest of the human soldiers. His comrades fought harder, their fury and grief propelling them forward with unmatched intensity. The loss of Bonner struck a deep emotional chord with the soldiers, fueling their desire for vengeance. Bonner had died so that they might live, so that humanity might stand a chance against the alien invaders. They would make the aliens pay for his death. The alien forces, now realizing that humanity was no longer a joke, began to retreat. They had not expected such resistance, not expected the humans to possess technology or determination like this. The balance of power had shifted. The invaders had thought they were going to crush a weak and helpless species, but instead, they had awakened a beast. The aliens retreated, their ships scattering in all directions as they tried to regroup and rethink their strategy. For humanity, this victory marked a turning point in the war. The aliens no longer saw Earth as an easy target. They now understood that they had made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity. The first battle had not only been a defeat for the aliens, it had been a declaration of war. Humanity had shown that they could fight back, and they had shown that they would not stop until their home was safe. The first strike had been successful, but the war was far from over. The road ahead would be long and filled with hardships, but the humans now knew that they could win. They had taken the first step in reclaiming their freedom. The war was just beginning, and humanity had already proven that they were not the weak, helpless species the aliens had once believed them to be. They were fighters. They were survivors. And now, with their backs against the wall, they would make sure the aliens paid for every inch of ground they had taken. The battle had only just begun. The aftermath of humanity's first victory over the alien fleet was not one of celebration. Instead, it was one of tension and fear. The Galactic Council, the most powerful intergalactic political body in the galaxy, was in turmoil. They had underestimated humanity, thinking them nothing more than primitive creatures, easily crushed underfoot. But the surprise human resistance, the overwhelming power of their new technology, and their sheer will to fight had left the Council shaken to its core. Anger, humiliation, and fear spread like wildfire among the Council's members. The idea that a lesser species could challenge their authority was unacceptable. The Council's response was swift and brutal. Within days of the first battle, the decision was made. Humanity would be crushed. The Council declared war on Earth, mobilizing their entire military might to avenge the humiliation they had suffered. This time, they would not underestimate humanity. At the heart of the Galactic Council's new offensive was the Supreme Commander, an AI built for one purpose: absolute victory. The Supreme Commander was ruthless, efficient, and cold, a perfect weapon for the Council's mission to annihilate humanity. This AI, with its unparalleled strategic abilities, was tasked with leading the most powerful fleet ever assembled. Its mind was a network of calculated precision, and it showed no mercy. The decision was made to send the Supreme Commander to Earth, determined to wipe out humanity once and for all. Back on Earth, Captain Elias Kane and his team were preparing for the inevitable. They had been given a glimpse of the alien might, but the full scale of what was coming was still unknown. The news of the Council's declaration of war spread like wildfire, and humanity knew that they could not simply rest on their laurels after one victory. The aliens would come in full force this time, and they would not make the same mistake twice. Kane stood before his team, staring at the holographic map of the galaxy. His face was grave, his mind focused on the task ahead. The fight for Earth was far from over, and the stakes had never been higher. The enemy was coming, faster than anyone could have anticipated, and humanity would need every advantage it could muster to survive. "We knew this day would come," Kane said, his voice calm but filled with determination. "The Council thinks they can crush us with sheer numbers, with their superior technology, and with their ruthless AI. But they don't understand who they're dealing with." His team, a group of elite soldiers, engineers, and scientists, looked up at him, their faces full of determination. Each one of them had lost something to the alien invaders: family, friends, and homes. The bond they shared was one of unbreakable trust and loyalty. They were no longer just fighting for survival. They were fighting for the future of humanity. "We have the element of surprise on our side," Kane continued, "and we have something they don't: heart. We will make them regret underestimating us." As Kane spoke, his mind was already racing through the countless variables that needed to be considered. The alien fleet was massive, its ships towering in comparison to the human warships. The Supreme Commander was a formidable foe, and its fleet would be a challenge unlike any the humans had faced before. Yet, Kane remained resolute. The human spirit was their greatest weapon, and they would use it to its fullest. The team worked around the clock, knowing that time was running out. Every moment that passed brought the alien fleet closer to Earth. The humans had no choice but to prepare for the most intense battle they had ever faced. Their warships, now equipped with the latest in cloaking technology, would be the key to their survival. Humanity's greatest advantage was its ability to strike from the shadows, to move unseen until it was too late for the enemy to react. But as the days ticked down, the pressure was mounting. Kane's leadership was being tested like never before. His team was tired, physically and emotionally, but there was no time for rest. The battle would come soon, and they needed to be ready. As the final preparations were made, there was a sense of urgency that permeated everything. The alien fleet was closing in, and it would only be a matter of time before they arrived. Humanity had one shot at this, one chance to prove that they were more than just pets to the galaxy's most powerful species. The warships, now fully equipped with their cloaking devices, moved silently through space. The stealth technology that had been developed in secret on Earth was about to be put to the test. These cloaked warships would allow humanity to strike without warning, using surprise and tactics to gain an upper hand. But even with the element of surprise, the odds were still stacked against them. The alien fleet outnumbered them, and the Supreme Commander's strategic mind was unmatched. The humans would need to be cunning, resourceful, and relentless if they hoped to survive. Kane stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Defender, staring out into the vast expanse of space. The ship's cloaking system was fully activated, making it nearly invisible to the enemy sensors. Around him, his crew worked diligently, preparing for the battle that would decide the fate of their planet. There was no going back now. "All systems are ready, sir," said Lieutenant Myers, his voice calm but tinged with the same tension that gripped the entire crew. "We're ready to move out when you give the word." Kane nodded. "Make sure everyone is on their toes. This is going to be the hardest fight we've ever faced. We need to be fast, precise, and above all, we need to hold the line." The crew nodded, their resolve strengthening with every word. They knew what was at stake. They had seen what the aliens were capable of, and they knew that this battle would determine whether humanity would continue to exist or be wiped from the galaxy entirely. As the human fleet drifted through space, cloaked and waiting, the suspense was unbearable. Every sensor, every piece of equipment, every person on board was on edge, knowing that at any moment the enemy could appear. They couldn't afford to make a mistake. If they were discovered, if they were caught in the open, the consequences would be devastating. They had one chance, and they would have to make it count. The tension on the bridge was palpable. Everyone was silently praying for victory, but deep down, they knew that their chances of survival were slim. The enemy fleet was too powerful, and their technology too advanced. But as Kane looked around at his team, he knew one thing for certain. They would fight with everything they had. And they would never give up. The countdown to war had begun. The galaxy would soon witness the clash of two forces, the ruthless alien invaders, led by an eye with no mercy, and humanity, fighting for its right to survive. The first battle had been a victory, but this was the true test. Would humanity stand against the overwhelming power of the Galactic Council, or would they fall to the might of an enemy that saw them as nothing more than pests? Only time would tell. But one thing was for sure. Humanity would not go down without a fight. The final showdown was coming, and the humans were ready to prove that they were not the pets of the galaxy. They were warriors, and they would make their mark on the stars. The war that humanity had fought so desperately to avoid was now upon them. The alien fleet, massive and filled with devastating weapons, descended upon Earth. It was an onslaught unlike anything the planet had ever seen. As the alien ships entered the atmosphere, their massive guns opened fire. Earth's defenses, though formidable, were nothing compared to the overwhelming force of the invaders. The skies darkened as the planet's last line of defense was assaulted from above. Kane stood on the bridge of the Defender, his eyes fixed on the unfolding chaos. The battle was relentless, and the fate of humanity rested on the shoulders of every soldier, every engineer, every person who had fought to prepare for this moment. He had known this day would come, but nothing could truly prepare him for the scale of the destruction that the alien fleet unleashed upon Earth. Above, explosions rocked the surface of the planet. Orbital bombardments from the alien ships lit up the sky, turning day into night with flashes of searing light. The sounds of destruction filled the air, a constant hum of chaos. Cities were being torn apart, and the skies were filled with the twisted wreckage of destroyed ships and drones. Yet, amidst the destruction, humanity fought back with everything they had. On the ground, Kane ordered his team to lead the charge. The robotic soldiers, humans' secret weapon, rushed to the surface, their advanced armor glinting in the darkened skies as they engaged the alien invaders in brutal close-quarters combat. Human soldiers, equipped with powerful new weapons, joined the fray. They fought with a ferocity that caught the alien forces off guard. Their energy shields flickered as they blocked alien blasts, and their blasters tore through the invaders with devastating force. The humans were not going down without a fight, and the aliens quickly realized that humanity was not as weak as they had believed. But the battle was far from over. As the conflict raged on, Kane's forces began to lose ground. More of his comrades fell, their lives sacrificed in the name of defending their planet. The air was thick with the smell of burning metal and the sounds of collapsing structures. One by one, the brave men and women who had fought so hard for humanity's survival were lost. Kane's heart grew heavier with each casualty, but he knew that he could not afford to mourn. There was no time for grief, not when the future of the planet hung in the balance. It was the death of Bonner's closest friend that struck Kane the hardest. The soldier, a veteran of many battles, had been a vital part of the team's success. He had always been the first to charge into battle, his unwavering determination inspiring those around him. But now he was gone. In a final act of heroism, he had thrown himself in front of a blast meant for the last remaining Earth defense system, sacrificing his life to save the planet. Bonner's grief was palpable. The loss of his closest friend was something that would haunt him forever, but it also fueled his rage. As the battle raged on, Bonner fought harder than ever, driven by the memory of his fallen comrade. The humans weren't just fighting for their lives anymore. They were fighting for those they had lost. Every fallen comrade, every life taken by the alien invaders was a rallying cry to fight harder, to fight with everything they had. Despite the overwhelming odds, humanity held their ground. The aliens had thought they could easily crush the pets they had mocked, but they had underestimated the human spirit. The tide of battle was slowly beginning to turn. The aliens, stunned by humanity's resilience, were forced to adjust their tactics. They had expected humanity to crumble under the weight of their superior firepower, but instead, they were met with fierce resistance. The human warships, cloaked and hidden in the depths of space, fired from the shadows, picking off alien ships one by one. The cloaking technology had proven to be a game-changer, allowing humanity to strike when and where the aliens least expected. As the human warships emerged from the darkness, they unleashed a hail of plasma cannon fire, ripping through the alien fleet with deadly precision. But the battle was not over yet. The aliens had adapted, and their supreme commander was no fool. The AI had analyzed the humans' tactics and had begun to deploy countermeasures. Massive energy shields surrounded their ships, making it harder for humanity's weapons to find their mark. But even as the aliens advanced, humanity refused to back down. The humans might not have the same numbers or the same advanced technology, but they had something the aliens didn't: a burning desire to protect their home, their people, and their future. Kane's voice rang out over the communications system. "Hold your ground. We've come too far to lose now." The words echoed through the ranks of the human soldiers, giving them strength. Despite their exhaustion, despite the countless losses, they fought with renewed vigor. The robotic soldiers, once seen as an advantage, now fought alongside their human comrades, cutting through the alien forces with precision. The battlefield had become a chaotic blur of flashing lights, explosions, and gunfire. The air was thick with tension as the humans continued to push back the invaders, refusing to surrender. But the aliens were not giving up. Their forces were vast, and their weapons powerful. It seemed as though the tide might turn back in the aliens' favor. However, humanity had one final trick up its sleeve, an ace in the hole that no one had seen coming. A massive human warship, the Titan, appeared from the darkness of space, its engines blazing. The Titan was the most advanced ship humanity had ever built, and it was carrying a weapon that could change the course of the battle. The Titan had been humanity's last hope, and now, as it appeared on the scene, the aliens finally understood the true extent of humanity's technological advancements. The Titan unleashed a salvo of missiles, each one carrying a payload of powerful explosive charges. The missiles tore through the alien fleet, causing massive explosions that rippled through their ranks. The aliens, now in disarray, began to retreat. The Titan's appearance had shifted the balance of power, and humanity's strategic use of their new technology was paying off. The Supreme Commander, once so confident in its ability to crush humanity, now found itself in a losing position. As the alien fleet withdrew, Kane stood on the bridge of the Defender, his heart pounding in his chest. They had done it. The tide had turned in humanity's favor. They had survived. Against all odds, against a foe that had seemed invincible, humanity had proven that they were not to be underestimated. They had fought with everything they had, and they had won. The final battle was not the end of the war, but it was a turning point, a moment when humanity's strength and determination had tipped the scales in their favor. The aliens had learned a harsh lesson. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was a force to be reckoned with, and they had just begun to fight. The final battle was upon them, and Captain Kane knew that this was the moment they had all been fighting for. The aliens, once so confident in their superiority, were now retreating. Their supreme commander, an artificial intelligence that had orchestrated much of the invasion, had been humiliated and defeated. The aliens realized far too late that humanity was not the fragile species they had thought it to be. They had underestimated the power of Earth's warriors, the strength of their will, and the advanced technologies humanity had fought so hard to develop. The truth was simple. Humanity was not a mere pet to be conquered. They were an apex predator, and the galaxy would soon learn that they had made a terrible mistake in underestimating the human race. The war had taken a toll on everyone. The sacrifices, the battles, the lives lost. Humanity had endured it all. But now, victory was within reach. Kane stood at the forefront, leading the final charge against the alien forces. The AI Supreme Commander, who had been the mastermind behind the entire invasion, awaited him in a high-tech, heavily armored command vessel. The ship was massive, its size and power dwarfing most of the human warships, but Kane was not afraid. He had fought long and hard to get here, and he would not falter now. With every ounce of strength and intelligence, Kane led the assault, coordinating with his team and utilizing the advanced warships and robotic soldiers that had turned the tide of battle. The final confrontation was a clash of wits and strength, a battle that would determine the future of humanity and the galaxy. The AI Supreme Commander, though powerful and highly intelligent, underestimated the humans once again. Its arrogance had blinded it to the one thing it couldn't predict: human determination. The battle was fierce. Kane's ship, the Defender, locked onto the enemy's vessel with precision, sending plasma beams and missiles crashing into the AI's defenses. The Supreme Commander retaliated with an army of drones and advanced weapons, but humanity had learned from every battle they had fought. With each strike, Kane and his team adapted, finding the AI's weaknesses and exploiting them. It was a mental game, a strategy war, as much as it was about firepower. But humanity had the advantage, because they never gave up. In the end, it was Kane himself who dealt the final blow. His knowledge of the enemy, combined with the lessons learned from the previous battles, allowed him to outsmart the AI Supreme Commander. The AI, once so confident in its calculations and algorithms, found itself outwitted by a human mind. Kane's victory was not just a victory of strength, but of intellect and will. The final strike came as a missile from the Defender found its mark, shattering the AI's core and disabling its control over the alien fleet. As the AI Supreme Commander's defeat became clear, the remaining alien forces faltered. Their entire operation had been built on the assumption that they could easily crush humanity. But now their confidence had shattered. They realized the truth, that humanity was not a species to be dismissed or destroyed. They were powerful, resilient, and capable of defeating even the most advanced technology the galaxy had to offer. The alien fleet, once so sure of its superiority, began to retreat in fear. The battle was won, and humanity had emerged victorious. Kane stood amidst the wreckage of the final battle, his heart pounding in his chest as he watched the aliens retreat. This was more than just a victory for Earth. It was a victory for every person who had ever believed in humanity's strength, its ability to fight for survival, and its refusal to be conquered. As the dust settled and the alien fleet fled into the distance, Kane's leadership was immortalized. His decisions, his bravery, and his unwavering belief in humanity's potential had led them to this moment. He had proven that the humans were not just survivors. They were warriors, capable of standing up to any force in the universe. The galaxy would never again underestimate humanity. The Supreme Commander, now defeated and humiliated, sent one final message to its forces before its systems were destroyed: "You will never conquer them again." The words echoed across the galaxy, a warning to any who might dare to challenge humanity in the future. The AI had learned the hard way that humanity was not weak. They were not pets. They were apex predators, and they would protect their planet and their future with everything they had. In the aftermath of the battle, Kane found himself standing alone on Earth's surface, looking up at the stars. The fight was over, but the work was far from finished. The planet had been saved, but the threat of future enemies still loomed. The galaxy had seen humanity's strength, and they would remember it. As Kane stood in the quiet aftermath, he made a vow. He would protect Earth from whatever threats lay ahead. The victory was sweet, but the war was not over. Humanity had proven itself, but there would always be more battles to fight. The camera zoomed out, showing the vastness of the Earth's space defenses, glowing brightly in the dark expanse of space. The message was clear. Humanity was ready. They had faced the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known, and they had emerged victorious. But they were not complacent. They were prepared for whatever came next. A new era had begun. The days of humanity being seen as weak, fragile, and insignificant were over. The galaxy now understood that Earth was no longer an easy target. The humans had earned their place in the stars. The tide had turned, and humanity stood strong, united, and ready for the future. As the stars twinkled in the distance, Kane looked to the future with hope. Humanity had won, but the battle for the galaxy's future had only just begun. And no matter what challenges awaited them, humanity would stand together, unyielding and determined to protect their world. The dawn of a new era was here, and humanity's triumph had only just begun.